Something magic happens every time you go.
My old buddy Jim was a great umpire. He was quick on his feet. He's got eyes like an eagle.
I'm still quick because I don't get filled up. I drink light beer from Miller. Light tastes great. It's less filling. It's got a... What's it say?
Here you go, Jim. Try those.
Oh, yeah. A third less calories than a regular beer. Hey, you're Boog Powell. Hey.
Light beer from Miller.
In honor of the 50th anniversary of his appearance on the April 12, 1971 cover of Sports Illustrated, this episode of Blast from the Past with Bruce in Colorado, we look at the career of Baltimore Orioles first baseman during the 60s and 70s, Boog Powell. I have a well-worn copy of Mr. Powell's 1972 Topps card, which I got and have out as a reference for Topps Heritage 2021 series, which came out in March, and features the same logos, styles, and themes as the 1972 Topps series, with its vibrant primary colors and bold pop art team logos. But I am featuring Boog Powell in this episode of Blast from the Past for the love of the history and lore of baseball and card collecting, and to find out more about the man behind the images on the cards. Boog was a fixture in Major League Baseball for over a decade before I started collecting baseball cards in the mid-70s, when he started making the trade rounds in the waning years of his pro career. But Boog's legendary sense of humor and TV personality made him a household name well into the 80s, and I can still remember his Miller Lite commercials to this day. John Wesley Powell was born August 17, 1941, in Lakeland, Florida. He received his unique nickname, Boog, from his father. In the South, they call little kids who are often getting into mischief buggers, and my dad shortened it to Boog. Hardly anybody ever calls me John. I don't know if I'd even turn around if somebody called me that. At the age of 12, Boog played for the Lakeland, Florida team in the 1954 Little League World Series. His team unfortunately getting throttled by the eventual winners of the series from New York. After his family moved to Key West when he was 15, Powell played at Key West High School and graduated in 1959, whereupon he signed with the Baltimore Orioles. Powell joined the MLB team in 1961 after leading the International League in home runs at Rochester, New York. He was called up to the Orioles late in the 1961 season and made his major league debut on September 27 at Yankee Stadium in New York. He collected his first major league hit the next day, a single in the third inning. His minor league numbers made Powell the most anticipated hitting prospect in Baltimore since the Orioles relocated from St. Louis in 1954. On May 2, 1962, playing left field against the Minnesota Twins, Powell hit his first two major league home runs. Later that month, he suffered a deep muscle bruise above his left knee when he ran into the left field fence in Detroit. He returned to the lineup on June 7th and was hit in the head by a pitch on June 13th, being taken off the field on a stretcher. Powell still managed to play in 124 games and hit .243 with 15 home runs and 53 runs batted in. On July 9th, during the All-Star break, Powell and Janet Swinton of Rochester, New York, were married. She was a psychology major at Kent State University in Ohio. They had 3 children. He hit 25 home runs in 1963, and in 1964, he led the American League in slugging percentage, .606, while blasting a career-high 39 home runs, despite missing several weeks because of a broken wrist. Powell spent his first 3 seasons in Baltimore as a left fielder, despite the fact that the 6'4", 230-pound frame and frequent nagging injuries might have slowed him down. In 1965, he was switched to first base, but the big lefty slumped. His home run total dropped to 17, and he hit just .248. During the 1965 season, his manager fined Powell for being overweight. Boog battled to keep his weight down throughout his career. However, coaching and practice turned this around, and he won the American League Comeback Player of the Year award in 1966 with a .287 batting average, 34 home runs, and 109 RBI. All while being hampered by a broken finger. In the 1966 World Series against the Dodgers, Powell batted .257, but it was the Orioles pitching that grabbed the headlines. Led by consecutive shutouts by Jim Palmer, Wally Bunker, and Dave McNally in the last 3 games, Baltimore swept the Los Angeles Dodgers. The Orioles slipped to 6th place in 1967, and Powell had a dismal year, hitting .234 with only 13 home runs. He was benched for much of the second half of the season. In 1968, under midseason manager replacement Earl Weaver, the team finished in 2nd place. Powell led the team in home runs, 22, and runs batted in, 85, and made the first of his 3 All-Star Game appearances. He was named to the AL All-Star team by the Sporting News after the season. Powell had a great season in 1969, smashing 37 home runs and 25 doubles and setting a career mark in RBIs 121 and batting average 304. He was the American League's starting first baseman in the All-Star Game. He had an 18-game hitting streak from May 7th to May 30th, falling 2 short of the club record, and finished 2nd in votes for the American League's MVP. In 1970, Powell led the offensive attack with 37 homers, 104 RBIs, 28 doubles, 104 walks, and a .297 batting average, and a .549 slugging percentage. He again started at first base in the All-Star Game and was the overwhelming choice as the American League's most valuable player. After losing to the Miracle Mets in the 1969 World Series, Boog and the Orioles were determined to reverse their fortunes in the following season's Fall Classic against Cincinnati. The Reds jumped out to a 3-0 lead after 3 innings of Game 1, but first baseman Boog Powell came to the plate to face the Reds' starting pitcher, Gary Nolan. The left-handed swinging Powell had seen only breaking balls from Nolan, but he fooled me, or tried to, Powell later recalled. He threw me a fastball. Expecting a breaking ball, I got the batter out a little late. Even though I hit it to the opposite field, it went over the left field wall for my first series homer that cut the Reds' lead to 3-2. The Orioles eventually took the 1970 World Series 4-1, with Powell hitting .294 with 2 home runs and 5 runs batted in. In its 1971 preseason issue, Sports Illustrated reported on Boog's preparations for another big season, commenting, "He has done an abnormal amount of running. Tell 1968 Olympic track medalist Jim Ryan that I'm coming after him this year," Powell says. "I've been running 1.5 miles every day and I'm lumbering the distance in about 12 minutes flat. In my league, that's moving on." Powell's production had fallen off from his 1970 MVP season, and he was hitting below .200 until late June. Manager Earl Weaver issued a hit-or-sit ultimatum to Powell, and he improved. Despite missing 2 weeks with a hairline fracture of his right wrist, he finished the year with a .256 batting average, 22 home runs, and 92 runs batted in. In the second game of the ALCS, Powell hit 2 homers off of Oakland's Catfish Hunter, but Baltimore then lost the World Series to the Pittsburgh Pirates in 7 games. Powell had a dismal series, notching only a .111 batting average. In 1972, Powell struggled to break .200 batting average until mid-season. Tried wearing glasses and different batting stances, and eventually batted .252 for the season, collecting 17 of his 21 home runs and 61 of his 81 RBIs in the final 3 months. The Orioles regained the top spot in the American League East Division in 1973 and 1974, although they lost in the ALCS to Oakland in both years. Powell hit .265 both seasons, but a sore shoulder cut into his playing time in 1973. In 1974, the Orioles were in a close division race as the season came to a close. Powell was benched in late August in favor of Enos Cabell. Originally, I intended to keep him out of the lineup only 3 or 4 days, manager Weaver said, but when we went on a winning streak with Enos playing, I wasn't going to change anything. Boog was finally reinserted into the lineup on September 13th, hit 4 home runs and drove in 8 runs to help the team post a 15-2 record the rest of the season and secure the division. In December 1974, the Orioles acquired slugging first baseman Lee May from Houston, and on February 25, 1975, Baltimore traded Powell to Cleveland to reunite with his former Orioles teammate Frank Robinson, now the Indians' manager. In his debut with the Tribe, Boog went 3 for 3 with 3 RBIs, 3 runs scored, and a home run in the 4th inning. Robinson said Powell's homer was the single most satisfying thing that happened at the game, aside from winning. And close to that was Boog getting off to a good start. Boog's 1975 season with Cleveland represented another comeback for the veteran Powell. He batted .297, hit 27 home runs, and drove in 85 runs. At first base, he committed only 3 errors. Boog was again voted American League Comeback Player of the Year. His batting average has been a pleasant surprise, said Indians manager Robinson. We expected him to hit 20 to 25 home runs and knock in 70 to 80 runs, but the batting average has been an extra. We knew what he could do, and we knew he was better than those last 2 years in Baltimore. In 1976, Powell suffered a torn thigh muscle in his right leg, played in fewer than 100 games, only 89 of them at first base. He hit just .209 with 9 home runs. Cleveland released him at the end of spring training in 1977, and he signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers. For the Dodgers, he had only 53 plate appearances, hit .222, almost all as a pinch hitter, and was released on August 31. At the age of 35, he called it a career. Powell has made the most of his last 45 years of retirement. As we've seen, he made a series of commercials for Miller Beer and operated a marina in Key West, Florida. In 1979, he was inducted into the Baltimore Orioles Hall of Fame and still ranks in the top 5 in many categories for Cleveland, including home runs, 303, runs batted in, 1,063, walks, 889, games played, 1,763, and total bases, 2,698. When the Orioles opened up the new Camden Yards in 1992, Powell started operating Boog's Corner, a barbecue stand at the ballpark. Several years ago, he published a book of recipes and reminiscences, which is available to order online. On April 9, 2010, Powell and Brooks Robinson threw out the ceremonial opening day pitches in the celebration of the 40th anniversary of the 1970 World Championship team. I don't care how old you are or what you're doing, you know when opening day is, he said then. It's a special feeling. Gets your heart pumping. Anything is possible. Boog Powell played as a member of the Baltimore Orioles dynasty that won 4 American League pennants and 2 World Series championships between 1966 and 1971. The 4-time All-Star led the American League in 1964 with a .606 slugging percentage and won the American League Most Valuable Player Award in 1970. He also played for the Cleveland Indians and the Los Angeles Dodgers. Powell still makes appearances online, celebrating the 50th anniversary last year, the 1970 championship, and is probably at his restaurant near Camden Yards right now, cooking up barbecue.
Something magic happened